Shabbat Shalom to everyone. This almost Shabbat, I want to share with you just a few words of Torah for this beautiful parasha and very insightful parasha of Lech Lecha, the beginning of our nations. So, life begins at the end of your comfort zone. We have heard that phrase many times before. If you haven't, I will repeat it again for you. Life begins at the end of your comfort zone. In this parasha, Lech Lecha, God said to Abram, go from your land, from your birthplace, and from your father's house. Where? To the land which I will show you. Very, very poignant words and very famous from this parasha, Lech Lecha. Literally, we simply understand this commandment as physically move from one place to another. What do you think this means in a more spiritual realm? What's the lesson you think we could all learn from this very first verse of our parasha for this week? So these attachments that God commands to Abram increments emotionally from one step to the other. First, we have the land, we can call that country. Then we have the birthplace, we can call that your town, your village, your city, your neighborhood. And finally, the house of your parents. That's to me is the teachings of your parents, of your grandparents. So for some of us who have immigrated to the United States, we know what it feels like to move from one land to another, to one country to another. And I personally moved from Argentina to the Dominican Republic. I lived there in the north, then in the south. Then I moved to Spain. And lastly, I moved to the United States, where I lived first in Nebraska, then in Massachusetts, and finally now here in Florida. So believe me when I say that I know what it means to move, I know what I'm talking about. And that's already a change for anyone, even one country, even one city, even one province or one state from another state. So, what about moving from your birthplace? What about moving from the place where you were born, your city, your town, your village, your neighborhood? So for me, it has been 22 years since I moved from Buenos Aires, my birthplace. But how many of you are still in your birthplace? Probably a lot of you. Probably you still live in the same city, maybe the same neighborhood. So this could also mean your job, your group of friends, and also what you choose to do for your leisure time. Then your parents' house. That's what God asked Abraham to disattach from, to move from your parents' house. That's very tough. And all these stages, city, birthplace, and your parents' house, are all stages of comfort. So, what do I mean by that? Let me ask to you, let me ask yourself. You can ask yourself, when was the last time that you heard the voice of Lech Lecha? Go, get away from your comfort zone. Leave that place of conformity. There's a place that is made for you, a promised land for your soul. In fact, you are made for that land. How many times? Or have you ever heard it? And if you heard it before, when was the last time you realized that that voice was calling you? So someone once told me that clinging and attachments to ideas and conformity are our worst enemies. The typical phrase is, that's the way we have always done it. My parents did it that way, and that's the way I feel comfortable. So why do it? It is too risky. Go, find your land. Go and move on from the way you built yourself to the unknown, like Abram, who, in spite of not knowing and leaving all his beliefs behind, walked forward through the stumble rocks of life. Why? Because he listened to that voice that said, Lech, go, Lech Lecha, go from yourself. So let yourself go. Live everything the way you know, the way you know it, and you will be, says God, not only blessed, but a blessing to many nations. Lech Lecha. Shabbat Shalom. I am Cantor Gaston Bogomolny, serving congregation Beth Torah Beni Rock campus in South Florida in the United States. Shabbat Shalom.